What if I told you the next world war might not start on Earth? What if I told you that while we scroll through videos and swipe through lives, a silent race is unfolding 238,000 miles above us? A race that could decide who owns the future, not just of nations, but of space itself? China isn't just going to the moon, they're planning to stay, and not for the reasons you've been told. Sure, we've all seen sci-fi about aliens hiding behind the moon, or conspiracy theories about Nazi bases on the dark side. But this isn't science fiction. This is geopolitical reality. The People's Republic of China has publicly declared that it will build a permanent lunar base at the moon's south pole. Target date? 2035. Backed by Russia. Funded by a government where civilian space is indistinguishable from military command, and located on the very part of the moon most coveted by every major space power, the lunar South Pole. A place rich in frozen water, eternal sunlight, and strategic elevation. Control the South Pole, and you control the moon. This isn't just about science, it's about power. The kind of power that changes the world, quietly, irrevocably, and permanently. And if you're wondering why this should scare you, then let's begin. Because this story doesn't begin in the future. It began decades ago in the ashes of another Cold War. And history, it's about to repeat itself on the moon. It started as a dream, a wild ambition painted across the black sky of the Cold War. The 1960s gave us the Apollo missions, the first humans on the moon, and a moment of global unity so powerful it transcended politics. But after Apollo 17 in 1972, America left the moon behind. And as the dust settled, so did ambition. But China was only just beginning. Back then, China had no space program to speak of. It was inward-focused, rebuilding after revolution. But in the decades that followed, while the world's attention turned to Mars, the ISS, and low Earth orbit, China began its quiet ascent. The China National Space Administration, CNSA, was formed in 1993. By 2003, China sent its first astronaut to space. By 2013, they landed a rover on the moon. By 2019, they were the first nation in history to land a spacecraft, Chang'e 4, on the far side of the moon. A feat no one else had accomplished. Not NASA, not Russia. No one. But here's where it gets more complicated and dangerous. Unlike NASA, CNSA isn't independent. It doesn't answer to the people. It answers to the People's Liberation Army. China's space program is not just a scientific agency. It is a strategic arm of the Chinese military. And when you look at history, especially China's own history with territorial expansion, that's when the alarm bells should start ringing. No, we're not saying China's going to colonize the moon. We're saying they're preparing to control it. Let's connect the dots. China's behavior in the South China Sea provides the clearest analogy. China ignored international treaties, built artificial islands, installed radar, missiles, landing strips, claimed sovereignty, and then said, "What are you going to do about it?" Now, they're planning the same thing, only this time the territory isn't water, it's lunar soil. Why the South Pole? Because of three things: frozen water and shadowed craters, peaks of eternal light, strategic line of sight. Whoever controls that region controls access to the moon's future. And as of now, China is years ahead of everyone else in surveying, mapping, and securing these sites. They don't just want to go there. They want to own the blueprint of how it's done. And the scariest part, they're not doing it alone. History teaches us that no empire rises alone. And space is no different. In 2021, two of Earth's most powerful autocracies signed a quiet, game-changing agreement. The ILRS, International Lunar Research Station. Russia and China pledged to build a joint lunar base, robotic first, then human, by 2035. But don't be fooled by the research station branding, because behind that polite language is something more strategic. Let's look at who's joined the ILRS since it was announced. This isn't just collaboration, it's counterbalance. A space bloc formed explicitly as an alternative to NASA's Artemis Accords. So what do you do when you're excluded from the table? You build your own. Imagine two kids on a playground. One builds a treehouse and says, "Hey, everyone can join, but no bullies." The other, he builds a fortress with barbed wire and a secret password, then tells everyone else, "You're either with us or against us." Guess which one is China? The Chinese Space Agency, CNSA, doesn't operate like NASA. NASA's every movement is public. But CNSA? CNSA reports to the Central Military Commission. Their projects are filtered through the People's Liberation Army. Every satellite, every rover. Yes, it sounds like Minecraft. But instead of a diamond pickaxe, they're using robotic arms and microwave sintering to eliminate the need to bring materials from Earth. Permanent power, permanent presence. And what powers all this? Nuclear energy. China is developing a small modular nuclear reactor to power its lunar base by 2036. This means independence from solar cycles, power for defense systems. It's no longer about can we go, it's about can we dominate once we get there. And China is answering yes with chilling clarity. Launched in 2024, the Queqiao-2 communications relay is already circling the moon. It links the far side to Earth, a side that can't be seen directly. A perfect place to build, and no one would know. We are entering the era of cislunar space, and it's about to become the next frontier of national security. Whoever controls this orbital space can jam communications, monitor every satellite, disable GPS, destroy rival assets. The US Space Force has issued warnings. China's moon base isn't about exploration, it's about positioning, and once they're entrenched, there's no easy way to remove them. It might seem absurd until it isn't. We're not here to incite fear, we're here to spark awareness. Because the danger isn't that China goes to the moon. The danger is that the rest of the world doesn't fast enough. Right now, the US and its partners in the Artemis Accords are fighting to catch up. This ridge, it's already taken. They don't need to plant a flag and say this is ours. They only need to be there first, and once they are, the moon isn't just a rock in the sky. It's a mirror. It reflects who we are and what we value. Will we treat it as the next Cold War frontier? Or a shared step forward for humanity? Because real space isn't about lines on a map. It's about what kind of civilization we want to become. One that repeats history's darkest mistakes, or one that learns from them and reaches higher. The moon is not just China's destination, it's everyone's. And we can't afford to wake up in 2035 and realize we watched it happen but didn't act. Because by then, it won't be a question of why is China on the moon, but rather why did we let them own it? If this shook you, if you're wondering what's next, there's another race already underway to Mars. But the question is no longer can we get there, it's who will survive the journey. Curious about humanity's boldest journey yet? Tap here to watch Elon Musk's journey to Mars, crew or coffin. Because if the moon is the power play, Mars might be the end game.